What's up, guys? Usually don't talk like this on this channel, but give you a backstory on my new project. And I swear I recorded this already. Like, I was driving down the road, I had my phone on my mount in the car, and I recorded this, but I cannot find it anywhere. So maybe I didn't. Maybe I thought I did, and I was gonna, but I never did. So, anyways, I picked up a new project car. It's not really like a crazy project, but for me, it's something vastly different than what I've done before. Usually it'll have like a bunch of stupid little minor issues that I work on. And then, you watch these other YouTube channels, they're like rebuilding a car from scratch. So, this one's pretty cool for me. It's actually got a lot of sentimental value too. And I have actually been around this car since it was brand new, basically. So if you watch my other channel, my vlog channel, as of me recording this right now, a couple weeks ago, I had COVID. My fiance had COVID. My grandpa has had cancer, like a really rare, bad cancer that was right here. I forget the technical term for it, but he's been fighting that for the past few years. Unfortunately, like 3 days after I tested positive for COVID, he ended up passing away. But he had a 2009 Lincoln Town car that he bought brand new. So, it's only one owner besides me. And, like, that thing was his baby. Like, he cherished that thing. Like, they live, like, out in the farmland. So, got big barns and stuff like that. This car was parked in a barn for, like, the first probably 8 to 10 years of its life. Like, it never saw rain. It never saw snow. It's never seen salt. And then unfortunately, when the cancer developed, this car was easier for them to travel in than their truck. It was easier for him to get in and out of because he didn't have to climb in the truck. And this was, much softer, more plush ride. But he ended up passing away, unfortunately. And, so all his stuff obviously, became my grandma's stuff. She hates the car. Most women hate these cars. They love riding in them. They're comfy and cozy and roomy. But when it comes to driving them, they're big. They're, kind of sloppy. They're, but they're soft. They got that nice plush, soft ride. And she wanted to get rid of it. He was actually wanting to get rid of it before he passed, to get her something that she would be comfortable driving, something smaller like a Fusion or even like a Ford Edge or something like that. Fortunately for me, that never happened, and I hope to buy it. The funny backstory is, like, way back when he bought this car, I was like 15 or something like that, and I loved it too. I was like, that thing's nice. Maybe I can buy it off you one day when I'm older if you still have it, So it's kind of cool that I have it. Unfortunate way that I got it, but also very fortunate. So, about a week and a half after he passed, my grandma's sister, she lives in Florida, but she came up actually a couple days before my grandpa passed, and she was just visiting. And then when he passed, she decided she's going to stay with her for a few weeks, because they've been married for like 40 something years. She's never really been alone, where they live and stuff like that. So her sister wanted to stay with her, make sure everything's, make sure she's okay, keep her company and stuff like that. They went into town over here on Telegraph, which is, for us, Telegraph is like a ridiculously busy road in Monroe here. And I'll put a picture up right here. Like, it's 2 lanes going this way, and then you got your middle turning lane, and then the other 2 lanes, going this way. So it's a 5-lane road. They were in the right lane, and, there's a lot of traffic, so you're constantly with cars. And I guess there was a car trying to turn into, I don't know if it's like a Tim Hortons or whatever right there. But they're coming down the road. They're coming up to a light, but they're probably like a quarter mile away. But there's a lot of traffic, usually in one lane or the other. So the car in the left lane starts to slow down. And then, it was something like this from what I'm putting together. But they start to slow down. And, my grandma and her sister are slowing down. But then this car just whips out in front of them to turn in there. They basically, like, clipped the back of it. It was like I think she said it was a Cherokee or a Wrangler. But, basically they whipped across and, tried to cut in front, thinking they had time, I guess. And, my grandma and her sister was the one driving. My grandma was in the passenger seat. And, they clipped them. No airbags went off, which is really cool. But the front end of the car was pretty much toast. Fast forward a few days, when I heard about it, I called, see if she was all right, and, see if they needed anything and whatnot. And then I said, do you think it's totaled? And she's like, well, probably. And she doesn't really know much about, car insurance because, my grandpa took care of all that kind of stuff. So I said, if you wouldn't mind, I was like, I'm really interested in buying it back. And I didn't know what it looked like. I hadn't seen it. I didn't know that the airbags didn't even go off at this point. So my initial plan was to hopefully buy it back and actually turn it into a death cart, which I will put a picture of right here. Because if you guys follow this channel, you probably see that I've wanted to do that for a long time. And I was like, if I can get a wrecked one. The reason I haven't is because the other two cars I wanted to do that to, one of them was just way too nice. And it was pretty old. And, I just want something that's got a little bit newer technology inside, even though I'm cutting everything out. And then the other one, it just had like a plethora of like small mechanical things that needed to be taken care of. And the car was just like tired. It was an old cop car. The thing had just been beat up his whole life. So I was like, I'd rather start with something a little bit better than this, even though the car was dirt cheap. So anyways, I explained to her, I was like, if they total it out, they're, going to give you an amount, like an offer that they're going to pay you, and then they keep the car. And then there's also a buyback option. Well, let's say, hey, we'll give you $5,000 for the car, and you can buy it back for $500 or something, just random numbers. And if you do that, you get to keep the car. You'd obviously get a new title. It would be totaled. And then they would cut you a check for $4,500. They just take the $500 out of what that initial offer was or whatever. And she's like, okay. She's like, I'll ask. I'll definitely ask them. And, I'll get back with you. I was like, all right, cool. I appreciate it. Thank you. So a few days later, I'm at work and it's like 11 o'clock in the morning or whatever. It's before my lunch break. And I can't really be on my phone at work. Like I can text, I can pick it up and shoot a text here and there, but I can't really talk on the phone. Plus it's super loud in there. I'm sorry, I'm like staring at the car. I keep looking off the camera. But my uncle calls and I'm like, why is he calling? He knows, I assume he probably knows I'm at work. But anyway, so I threw my AirPod in and I answer. And he's like, hey, your grandma just got the offer for the car. The buyback is $860, I think it was, or $856 or something like that. And I'm like, damn. And he's like, I got it. He's like, they need to know, like, right now, do you want it? And I'm like, I absolutely do want it. And I said, I don't, because I had, this was my first week of being back to work after COVID. Like, it was, I think, Wednesday or something like that. When I was off for COVID, I didn't get paid. Fortunately, my fiance, she got her full 2 weeks pay still, which is awesome, but my work doesn't do that. So I was like riding on fumes, I had enough to get by. I was like, I definitely don't have that. And I'm like, is there any way, like, I was like, does she need the money like today, right now? I said, because I definitely want it and I can definitely have the money either by Friday or next Friday. And he's like, well, yeah, she's going to want the money up front and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, well, let me call you back. I was like, give me like 10, 15 minutes. I'm about to go on lunch. Let me call a few people, see if I can borrow the money. It's not, it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money for what it is. So I get off the phone, I call my mom, and when she was off for COVID, like for, the quarantine or whatever in Michigan here, when everything was just closed for like 3 months, her unemployment, like, it was approved, but she has not gotten a single one of the payments for like all the 3 months yet. So she's owed like a lot of back pay. I know she was struggling for a while to get by because she had just bought her house and moved in, and then like 3 months later, everything shuts down. And so I called her. I'm like, you're the only one I can think of that, might have this. I said, it's totally cool if you don't. Like, don't feel pressured. Don't feel bad if you can't or whatever. I said, but I was like, they just called. They said, Grandpa's car, it's totaled, but here's the buyback. I was like, she wanted to see, she wanted me to have the car too. I was like, they want $800 and whatever dollars it is to buy it back. I was like, I just legit don't have it right now because, I was off work for 2 weeks unpaid, but I can have it literally 2 weeks max, and she's like, yeah, I've got it. Do you want to come by after work? And I was like, oh my God, I was, super stoked, so shout out to her for letting me borrow that. She's mostly paid back now. It's been like 2 weeks, and I actually was going to give her more. And she's like, no, I know you don't really have much right now. Just, you pay me whenever. And I was like, I mean, I appreciate that, definitely could go towards some extra bills, but, So anyways, got the car. The reason it was like such a rush is because the tow company that was holding the car, like in their storage facility, which mind you is just a gravel parking lot with a chain link fence, and like 6 cars in it with a capacity to hold probably 40 cars. They have 6 cars in there. There's trash all over. This place was so run down. I was like, no wonder why they don't get any business. It's so damn expensive. It was like, I don't remember the exact price, but it was way over $100 a day that they were charging for that car to be sitting there. And it was already there for like 4 or 5 days. So the insurance company was basically just like, we need to know now because, we don't want this car to keep sitting there. They're charging all this money. The insurance covers that, luckily, not my grandma or anything. So long story short, I get off work. My uncle meets me up there. I give him the money. Well, I pick the money up for my mom. So I give him the money. He signs, like the stuff for the tow company so they can release it. And then we had like tow straps. And he also has like a big giant like car hauling trailer. So, but he lives kind of far away. So we're kind of like, let's try just driving it home first. Cause I don't know. We didn't know if the radiator leaked. He said he didn't think it did, but I was like, I only live just on the opposite side of town. So it's like a 10-minute drive. It's, all back roads. I was like, you drive in front of me and then I'll just follow you, so people, cop doesn't pull me over for, having a broken headlight, stuff like that. So I turn the key, car fires right up. I was so excited, but it wasn't making any weird noises, but it was kind of like chugging. Like it started right up, but then it was kind of like chugging a little bit. And I was like, oh man, there's something wrong with it. But whatever. It's my $800 car now. It's my problem. So after a few seconds, it cleared right up, and I didn't know what it was, but it was running fine now, so I didn't care. At low speeds, when it did that, like the steering wheel, like when I would turn, it would kind of like almost vibrate a little bit. And I was like, maybe when they hit it, like it kind of messed up like the rack and pinion or something. I didn't know, but it still turned just fine. Got it home. Everything was cool. And basically like the plans were to, it was unfortunately going to sit for a few months while I pay my mom back and then acquire parts for it. You know what I mean? So, fortunately that has not happened. The car, as I'm making this clip, is like 90% back together. It's coming along great. Had some hiccups in the road, but I'm going to show you guys, I documented most of the stuff I've done to it so far, so let's get started. There it is. So that's it. Hood, headlight, bumper, the crash bar down here. Oops. And then this right here. These are bent, but they're not broke, so I'll probably just leave them. But yeah, all this crap. But I have 90% of this. I just need a bumper cover now. Hopefully that's not too bent up. That's what I'm worried about. It looks like this is straight, but the actual bumper bracket is what's bent. Okay, cool. The headlight wiring is pretty good still. Yeah, it's not too bad.